Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, lovers, and friends, welcome back to the Prodcast at Two Ticks and the Dog Productions. I am your host, Jim Fogarty. We're coming to you right above Dave Grohl Alley in downtown Warren, Ohio, which is right down the way from Modern Methods Brewery. So, if you're in downtown Warren and you're thirsty and it's Thursday through Sunday, check out Modern Methods, get yourself a Darlene, and sit back and listen to our next guest who has promoted shows here in the local area with acts like the Zac Brown Band, Elton John, coming up Lionel Richie, and one of my soon-to-be favorite shows. I'm sure it's going to be great. He is coming to the Packard Music Hall in Warren, Ohio, the Tony Bennett. So before we get there, though, want to cover a couple of bookkeeping duties, like who are our sponsors and why do I have so much energy today? You have heard it in the past. I'm going to tell you again. If you want extra energy today, you've got to biohack tomorrow. What is biohacking? If you go to biohacktomorrow.com, it will explain on that website what I'm speaking about. You got to work out. You got to stay healthy. You got to eat the right kind of foods to fuel your engine to keep you going. I've got an incredibly long day today after I get done with Eric. I will be going probably until midnight tonight, and my day started literally at 5:45 this morning when I took my son to school. Well, I didn't take him to school at 6 in the morning, but got him ready for school and took him to school, and I'll be going until midnight tonight. I'm not looking forward to it, but I am going to tell you this. What's one of my secrets? If you go to biohacktomorrow.com and you're interested in smart energy, check out Axio. Axio is an energy drink, no sugar. You can get it caffeinated or non. I like to drink my coffee, so I get it non-caffeinated. And what does it do? What is Axio all about? And let me tell you this, there are other products at biohacktomorrow.com. This is a great intro to these products. These products reduce oxidative stress. They are supplements, for lack of better terms. I call them biological enhancers, but Axio is a great way to introduce yourself to some of the products at biohacktomorrow.com. And Axio is an energy drink. It improves your physical and mental energy, gives you a positive mood, helps you deal with stress. It kind of improves your information processing. So if you're like trying to figure some stuff out, you're working on multiple projects like I usually am, this will help reduce your mental fatigue and your brain fog. I can't even say it. And your brain fog. You wake up, your brain's foggy. Get some Axio, man. You can be your best self today. Simply biohacktomorrow.com. If you sign up for auto ship per serving, Axio is less than $1.70 per serving. You get yourself a bottle of water, you take a little sip, you open up the packet, dragon fruit, red raspberry, grapefruit, whatever flavor you like. You take a little sip out of your 12 or 20 ounce bottle of water, you pour in some Axio, you shake it up, you drink it down, you will feel amazing. Trust me. That's our big sponsor for the day is Axio. I'm sorry, not Axio, biohacktomorrow.com. But if you want to get some Axio, visit that website and you can purchase it and have it shipped to you. Our other great sponsor is a great friend of mine. After you go to the Covelli Center, after you go to what's soon to be the amphitheater in downtown Youngstown, after you go to the W.D. Packard Music Hall and see one of our next guests' awesome shows, or before you go to the show, check out my friend Ottavio's restaurant, the Station Square restaurant in Liberty on Belmont Avenue. Don't know how to get there? Visit thestationsquare.com. And what can you get when you visit the Station Square restaurant? You can get grass-fed beef. You can check out all that is there. You can buy gift certificates. You can look at take 20% off your bottle of wine on 20 Tuesdays. They got a wine Wednesday. They got live music on Thursdays. They just recently won the Best of Award from Wine Spectator. It's an award of excellence that very, very few restaurants ever win. But they win because they've got such an amazing selection. 450 different types of wines on hand, Modern Methods Brewery if you're into beer, and tons of other local craft brews. So, without further ado, after you eat at the Station Square restaurant, get to one of those venues and you're going to find out how awesome this next guest is. He is a local promoter. He's actually not local anymore. I mean, he's branching out. His company, JAC Management and JAC Live, have brought some amazing guests. We're going to find out about them next. Musical talents to the area. We want to welcome to the show Eric Ryan.
If you need a water or anything like that, just I'm like the fact finder back here, kind of just general guy. Might throw in 2 cents.
Okay.
But I'm also the podcast bitch in a sense. So if you need some water.
He's the podcast bitch.
Good name for you.
What are they called? Roadies? Not roadies.
You're a fucking co-host, bitch.
Yeah, there you
Get
go.
your fucking terms right. Come on, fucking rookie. All right, you got your phones off? I got mine off. I got on ringer. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Ready.
We're rolling live. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. Eric Ryan.
What's up? What's up?
Man. So it's only been like 3 days since I saw you. I saw you downtown Youngstown over the weekend, and I said, "Hey, man, what the?" I didn't, but I did say that.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Ray Mancini, mutual friend of ours. A couple weeks ago, I was like, "Hey, Eric, come on the show, man. Let's. I got this. I got the podcast. It's a podcast show." He's like, "Yeah." So like the next week, I'm watching Ray's thing. Oh, Eric Ryan from JAC. I'm like, this son of a bitch stole my thunder. Love you, Ray. I don't want to catch the right or the left from you. You did really well, man. That was a really interesting show.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was fun, and both you guys were texting me at the same time, and I'm like, what's going on here? Why is So, but it was cool, man. It was cool.
Yeah, they got a little bit nicer digs than we got.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. This is my kind of joint in here.
Yeah, I know. That's that Struthers in you, man.
You get shit done in here. I get it.
We get shit done. This is a workshop. My wife always goes, "What's up? Are you going to redecorate?" No. This is guerrilla style.
No.
Okay? Low cost, high output. So you've got JAC Management. You've got JAC Live. Those companies manage, well, not JAC Live, but JAC Management manages the Covelli Center in downtown Youngstown. And recently, 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, the W.D. Packard Music Hall in Warren, Ohio. But before you got to that, I love this story because I like dudes who are gritty and don't mind getting dirt under their fingernails and breaking their back to make shit happen and taking risk, which is really the crux of this whole thing. You were working in a steel mill. At what age? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so basically, I got married very young, and as the story goes, and my wife and I were high school sweethearts, and she was our valedictorian at Struthers High School, and I was going to.
You were the salutatorian?
No, I wasn't even close. Believe me, I brought home a hook. My old man was fucking happy. He's like, "Hey, all C's, that's my boy." Believe me, on spell check doesn't even know what the hell I'm talking about half the time. But anyway, so we got pregnant in high school, and she was giving her valedictorian speech, and her and I are the only ones in the gym that know she's pregnant, and so we broke the news to our family a couple days after we graduated, and we got married on September 5th. This was 1992. And I was going to be working at Wheatland Tube, which is a pipe mill in Wheatland, PA, just across the border. I was going to be working there part-time during the summer months anyway. And so I went there, and we weren't sure what we were going to do. And so I ended up being able to get full-time, at the time making $12.50 an hour, $13 an hour, which was pretty good money,
This is 93?
Yeah, as a laborer, 92 actually. And so I started there, and we pretty much grinded it out. And so I got into management in about 6 years. Well, after about 6 years in union for about 6 years, got into management. But the whole time I knew that it just wasn't what I wanted to do the rest of my life. And my wife was believed in me enough to start Southbridge Billiards, which was in our downtown Struthers. I love two things. I love music, and I used to love pool. So we put up our house. I'll never forget. We from Mahoney Valley Economic Development, $32,000 loan, and we bought our house. Our house was like $55,000 at the time when we originally bought it. And so, a couple years later, we're going to do this billiard room in downtown Struthers. And I don't tell this story a lot, but I'll never forget. I was working midnights, and we were renovating. We were fixing up this old shitty ass building, and we wanted to. And so working day and night trying to get it done, and working at the mill, and 7 days a freaking week, and so we were about a week and a half before opening, and I pulled up to the red light on State Street, and I was it was 10:15, was going to work 11 to 7, took about 20 minutes to get to work. Anyway, so I pulled up, and there was not a freaking soul in downtown Struthers, like tumbleweed blowing through this place, right? I mean, I looked, there's not a fucking car.
Is it tumbleweed or is it factory smoke?
It might have been factory. And there wasn't a fucking person anywhere. And I went up to the top of the hill to the Camel Struthers line, and I opened my door, and I puked my brains out. Because I'm like, what the hell are you doing? We had Jordan at the time. We had Jordan and Ashley, and so, my two oldest. And so we were like, oh, God, but anyway, as the story goes, I was working straight midnights then, and I had a friend of mine that was going to work it, and we got our occupancy permit, and we got our liquor license. We only had beer only, and I said I worked midnight all day long, and all night long. Then I got off, and we worked all the way up until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I just told my guy, Randy Bass, I go, Randy, just open the doors. I don't give a shit if we sell 2 beers and do 1 hour of pool time, which was like $2.50 an hour. I said, I don't care what it is, just do it. And my wife wakes me up about 10 o'clock, and she's like, wake up. The pool hall's packed. I go, what do you mean it's packed? She's like, it's packed. Randy just called. We had 12 pool tables. Everything's, so anyway, that's where it started. And then we ended up buying the building and doing the cellar. The cellar was an old fallout shelter. A lot of people talk about they used to go shoot archery down there. Dirt floors. And when we bought the building, we put the pool tables. We put the bar in and built the cellar. And it was a 500 seat. Well, I guess I could say it now because we're past the statue. It was really like a 400 seat venue, but there was times, we'd jam them in there.
And not a seat in sight.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Not a seat in sight. No, we'd pull all those out. But that's kind of where we started, and at the club level, just with the intent we wanted to do kind of local and regional shows, and that just kind of started to build and did really good there. And again, the pool hall was always the base. I realize that now. I didn't realize that then because I was always a guy that wanted more. I probably should have just stayed with the pool hall and the cellar, and it would have been awesome. But I just kind of kept going. But anyway, the cellar was incredible. We ended up having over 7 years, 132 sold out shows. That's awesome. We did 3 Rock and Roll Hall of Famers. We were kind of the cellarrocks.com, that's, we just killed it in rock, and it was a lot of memories.
How long did you have the pool hall? You kept them both simultaneously at the same time.
Yeah, I did
downtown Struthers.
Yeah, and then I did Fat E's, if you remember Fat E's restaurant. Right. Yeah, I did that on the 3rd floor, and so the pool hall was 98, the cellar was 2002, and then the restaurant was 06, and but so I end up having everything for especially the pool hall for 12 years before we sold it. But we had some killer days in the cellar, there's no question.
How do you go from Minnesota Fats, Steady Felsen, pool hall, racking pool balls and all that other good stuff, to making the leap to the cellar? Is it your love of music? And then I love how you gave your wife some credit because obviously artist myself, you got to have a great support structure. Was she like you're out of your fucking mind. You got this pool hall. Now you want to do this other venture? Like, what was the process?
Yeah, so it's funny because they always said my 10-year anniversary, my kids got up and they wrote a poem they had a little party for us in the cellar, and it was honey, I have an idea, and that was always me. I have an idea. I have an idea. I have an idea, and so. My wife's the best. I mean, we've been married 26 years now, and she's just the rock, and supports me in every crazy thing and idea. And to this day, I mean, last night we were talking about making an offer today that is absolutely insane. But that's, I don't know. And she's not a risk taker, which is very weird, but. And I am, and but if you look back at what we did there, I mean, we would pay national acts $2, $3, $4, $5,000, and it was like, holy shit,
That's when that's when I would think place was packed.
Yeah. Yeah, and from there, I looked at, I mean, from a blues standpoint, we did everybody, I mean, Bobby Blue Bland, we did, Shamika Copeland, we did obviously Tommy Castro, all those just would come back and absolutely kill it. It'd be like a juke joint, in downtown Struthers. But from a rock standpoint, Shinedown, there was Seether, but Shinedown just played the arena and sold it out, and it's pretty cool. Those guys, they always talk about the cellar. When we did a little meet and greet with them this time, and they're like, "Dude, man, we think about the cellar all the time because, it was just a cool vibe. It was a great place to play." And, And Saliva, the Saliva show was like
that was
one of the first big rock shows we did, and I'll never forget Jordan. Was like 9 years old at the time, and I brought him and I put him up on the sound booth. And I mean, they come out, and I'll never forget just the whole up and down, the crowd just going berserk, and his eyes were as big, big as saucers. But I'm sure shit happened in that back room.
Oh, I was just about to say,
that back room
could talk.
Oh God.
To speak about the cellar though down there, I think one of the best things that you did is you really concentrated on the local area as well. I was in a band back then, and you would have us as opening acts. Or if we wanted to rent the place out, you didn't treat us as, you're not a national act, you don't belong down here. I could speak of so many bands and so many band members out there that if it wasn't for you and what you did at the cellar, they probably would have just been a one and done.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's the tough part. The tough part for me, sometimes I get emotional about the cellar because I really enjoyed
plenty
that.
Of tears down
and
there,
I loved it. But the industry has changed as a whole.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not just the cellar isn't around anymore. Like where do you go to see live music anymore?
Right.
It's so my kids, not Jordan because he's an old school. He's a Zeppelin kind of guy. But But if you think about anybody on the age of 30, their favorite music is rap. Most of them. I'm just saying. I mean, or pop, and they go to clubs and they listen to thump thump thump. I'm not making fun of it. That's just what they do. They don't. When we were young, we'd say, "Let's go out and see a band." We're going out to see a band Friday night. Where are we going? Oh, Irish Bob's. Oh, Magic Twinger. Oh, wherever. I mean, there was plenty of places. Right now, I don't even know. I mean.
No, there's not much of a music scene.
No, but it's really there's not a. I mean,
you had to put a lot of work in there. We didn't have I was in a band in 07. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have microphones to record a CD that cost $500.
Right.
You had to put time and effort in there. And I remember my headlining show. You had just when I went to talk to you about it, you the night before had a sold out crowd there. And I'm like, man, I'm going to go talk to him about maybe selling 100 tickets here. And you treated us with respect, but we had to do the work. We had to go around and sell tickets. I remember being in parking lots at Walmart, and bands would, hey, come to my show. When's the last time you got a flyer from a band?
Long time.
That's
been a while.
Come see my show.
Changed.
Brandon,
because what they do is they just throw it on Facebook, and hopefully everyone shows. We didn't have that back then.
What was the name of your band?
Shortest Day.
Yeah, rock on.
Shortest Day, and but you had to put the work in. They don't want to do that because everyone could just get 1,000 hits real quick online. So
you had times have changed, no doubt.
You had places too, like just local music scene used to kill it here. You had the Powerhouse, you had the Horseshoe, you had
100%.
Madigan's, you had a bunch of different places, and there were local acts that would tour Warren, Youngstown. You know, if they made it down to Columbiana, that would be like a miracle. But they were creating a scene. Then BMI and ASCAP started going around, and they started cracking down on places that were doing cover acts. And that's a big reason why Steve Lardis over at the Horseshoe, I get sentimental about it too.
Yeah.
But he stopped having a lot of those acts unless they were doing original music. And so it was hard to get people to come to a show if they didn't hear of you. And I think even now more so because of social media and because of YouTube and things of that nature, it's harder to really push your own original music. It's almost like, and I'm not knocking the amphitheater down here in Warren, they have a lot of, what are they called? Tribute bands.
Yeah.
Like, and
Those work.
it's cool. They pack it in and they sell beer. But for me, like, I'm not really into that, man. I want to go see, if it's not the real person, obviously we're not going to go see Zeppelin because they're, but if it's not the real act, I want to see somebody that's doing something original. That's just me because I'm an artist and, you're in the same boat. And so,
Right.
the music industry has definitely changed, but you guys have done a great job changing with it, and you changed your brand, right? So I can remember, because I was like, we're kind of, I don't want to say coming up at the same time. You're a couple years older than me, but I can remember Eric Ryan Productions presents,
Rock 104.
Yeah.
Eric
Yeah.
Ryan Production.
Yeah. Another
Presents.
Eric Ryan production.
And it was cool. In fact, my uncle, who's a professional musician, he'll be on the show sometime in the near future, opened for Tommy Castro. And so it was like I don't know if you remember Frank Castellano, okay? Shout out to my Uncle Frank. But it was like, oh man, he's opening for Tommy Castro at the Cellar. And Gary Lee played, I think, with Texas Slim. I don't know if did you guys have Texas Slim down there?
We did.
Okay. And so those are a couple of the shows I remember where we'd get our crew from Warren, and Struthers is not
St.
that
Prodders.
Yeah. Is not, it's a 20-minute drive from here, 25-minute drive. We'd get a crew together and we'd drive down because we'd want to see, we're into blues and rock and stuff like that. And it was a cool scene. I think what I dug about it is the same reason I kind of dig, your style and you as a person, because you're a gritty kind of dude. And this is it was a shot in a beer place, and people'd get down there, they'd have some drinks, they'd have a good time, they'd rock out for a couple hours, and then they'd go on their way. Now it's like a little bit of a different situation. I don't know if that generation, we're in our 40s now. You're 45. I don't know if the 25-year-olds are doing the same stuff that we were doing at 25 to go see live music.
So I'm saying they're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
I
Absolutely.
mean, to make no mistakes about it, they're not.
Yeah.
There's certainly that's kind of what changed, and I think that's I wish we had more of that scene, but I think it's not easy anywhere. It's not easy anywhere in the country. It's not like it's just us. I think it's just a different world now.
Now, do you think? I always wondered this. Do you think this is just in 2000s, early 2000s? If I saw a band, if I heard Seether was coming or something like that, I knew I heard their music on Rock 104, but maybe I can find one video of them live, and I'm like, man, I got to go experience that. But nowadays, if I saw that same thing, I'd be able to see their whole shows, probably 40 of their shows, get the experience on my phone on this little 4-inch screen. So do you think that maybe drives away people from wanting to see that experience? Because I would see them one time and go, I have to go to that show. And that was my only choice. And then I remember back with my parents, they would hear one band on the radio. They couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
So my dad would be like, I have to go see these cats.
That's a good point.
But now everything's so in your
I think
face.
certainly. I mean, now what drives me nuts is this whole set list. They put their set list out there. I want to go to a show. I don't want to know. I want to think about what you're going to play next.
And I don't want to see this. People holding cell phones for fucking
and you
hours.
don't watch it.
Yeah,
you don't watch it. It's
dude,
crazy to me.
Enjoy live in that moment, present tense.
The dude in front of you's got their cell phone out. Just become Facebook friends with them. You enjoy the show. You see all their videos.
That's why we had Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan will not let you use your cell phone. I mean, we are instructed if you use a cell phone, someone using a cell phone, they're gone. I mean, we had signs all over the place. We're megaphone in it. You know what I mean? Telling them oh God, whenever somebody. But it does make you enjoy the show. Come on, nobody's gonna look at that video ever. It's terrible quality. You can't. You know what I mean? I don't care how good they make a cell phone. The microphone is never gonna be good. And
it's almost like people want to be look at me. I'm experiencing this.
Right.
Aren't I cool?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
do it for, listen, I'm guilty of it too. I've
Yeah.
done it a couple
Right.
shows like,
Yeah.
hey, check this out. Here's a great song. An artist is playing something they don't usually play. I'm going to get 20 seconds of it and post it on Facebook or whatever. And then I'm done. I want to live in the moment.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know about
Put
your
your
guys'
cell phones
wives,
down.
but did they ever say, shoot, we forgot to take a picture? I'm like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know what? Because I make
Yeah.
memories.
Take pictures of everything.
You know what I mean? Like,
Jesus.
I don't
Well,
need pictures on my phone. to
That's
remember
another
that.
thing too about like the fame thing. I'm very, you more so than I, because you got a lot of famous people coming in and out. I don't like. I mean, I've got a couple selfies with. We're located, for anybody out of the area. We're located at the back of Dave Grohl Alley. Dave Grohl Alley's behind us, and Dave's been down here a couple times, and he did the show across the square. Like, I don't like being that person who's like, hey man, want to get a picture? I'm your biggest
yeah.
fan. Like, just shut up, man. Like,
Yeah.
be normal about it. Not to say I haven't done it, but it seems like everybody wants that. How do you not avoid or avert it? You're probably not. You don't really care about it, but like the surrounding people, like you bring somebody in, their buddies, and they're like, "Hey, can I get a picture with so and so?"
Yeah,
Does that get annoying.
I mean, that and free tickets.
Oh,
Free
yeah.
tickets.
You talked about that on Ray's show. Yeah, free tickets, right?
Free tickets. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Everybody thinks that comp tickets are just comp tickets and doesn't cost somebody money. But anyway, from my standpoint, like the thing we hate the most is most of the time is meet and greets. When somebody does a meet and greet, because it really, people just. People. So many people want to take pictures and do whatever. Now the artists, the game has really changed. If you see now, you're paying for meet and greets. With the being that record sales are non-existent for the most part anymore, and they're not making any money off that. They really make money. They make their money off touring, and they make their money off these meet and greets. So anymore, like just getting somebody into a meet and greet, like, is slim and none. Now, personally, if it's a JAC live / Air Grind production show, if we're the promoters of the show and the show sells out, that's good news in the industry. So a lot of times they'll request that we do a media trade shot, and then we turn it into the publications and say, Tony Bennett, sold out Packard Music Hall, 2,200 people, or whoever it is. And so you take a picture, the venue or the promoter takes a picture with them, and then you turn it into the trades, and it's a feel good thing. And so that's about the only time that we do it. Most people think we're like hanging out with the artists, like they don't care about me. You know what I mean? They got somebody writing them checks everywhere they go,
Right.
And then it's funny. Like, I'm like, there's rich people in every town. You got to remember that. There's nonprofits in every town, and there's sad stories in every town. We get that a lot of time. Hey, so and so is sick, and as unfortunate as it is, and as terrible as it is, like, they get those requests everywhere they go.
Yeah.
There's a nonprofit. Oh, well, why can't the artists donate money to us? Well, because there's 50 million nonprofits in the country, and if they donated all the money they made, they wouldn't make any money.
Right.
So, those are some of the things that are just part of doing business. But it's interesting to say the least.
Well, the risk reward. So you're at the cellar, you got that going, you got the pool hall going,
Right.
You got fatties going. Okay, you have made it. You've made it out of the mill. This is why I love this story. This is why I love your story particularly. Partly because it parallels mine a little bit too, right? I worked in the mill. It's dirty, it's stinky, it's sweaty. You're wiping black boogers out of your nose every day because you're sucking in ash. And I worked in the melt shop, and it was like being in hell.
Right,
okay?
yeah.
I loved it,
Right.
while I was there, but I knew it was a temporary gig for me because I was going back to school and I saved my money, blah, 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 whatever it is. So you've got yourself out of Wheatland Tube. You've changed the stereotype, right? Because that's what we do here, right? This is an area where you went to work in the mill or you went to work in manufacturing. There was a lot of jobs, and the jobs have slowly shriveled up. Now you made the jump, took this risk, made the pool hall successful, took another jump, made this risk, made the cellar successful. You got the restaurant. How do you what keeps you? I like that you're like, oh yeah, it's more and more and more. Like, how do you convince your wife and your other business associates and the people who are around you, hey, we're going to kind of leave this behind and we're going to go do this thing at the Cavelli Center, which was the Chevy Center at the time, right? They had just built the center in a dwindling market. We used to be a top 100 metro, right? Now we're like maybe 100 if we're lucky, or I think we're like maybe 105 or 106. I haven't seen the stats for a long time. And you're competing. I love how everybody goes, we're centrally located between Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
It's not true.
Right? And it's like, how are you going to they have a clause in these contracts a lot of people don't know about. You can't go, it's like, hey, it's a 50-mile radius or a 100-mile radius where you can't play these shows. Right. That actually puts us in a bad position.
Right.
So instead of a huge arena where these artists are playing, now you're going to go manage a place that's 5,000, 6,000 people at the Cavelli Center. What's the process? What makes you take this next jump?
Yeah, well, basically, I continued to work at the mill for 13 years. A lot of people don't realize that. And in 2007, I was, I had all those things going on. We had started Eric Grind Productions to do shows outside of the cellar. So we did a few shows.
Standby?
No, actually, Bigley Center was the first show we ever did. 2004. This was before the arena was built. We did Three Doors Down for their homecoming, which was a tremendous risk. I mean, like just crazy. I had to like borrow the money out of my 401k and had to do all this other crazy shit to kind of shit Struthers kids do, to try and make it work. And we did, but at the end of the day, in 2007, I was doing all these things, and
I was going to interrupt for a second. Are you still at the mill in 2007? When did you leave the mill?
Yeah, I'm still in the mill in 2007. So
I had no idea.
So that was 14, 15. Anyways,
when did you sleep, bro?
Yeah, it was. Believe me, I'd been burning a candle both ends for a long time. Not a war story. It's just the truth, you know. And what happened was I was on midnights. I'd worked 46 consecutive days without a day off, and I'm doing all these other things, and I'm constantly. And I was just like, and they called us all into a meeting, everybody in management, and said, we're laying 25% of you off in 2 weeks. Whoever wants to go, here's a severance package. And man, I was making great money, and I had benefits, and I'm not college educated, and I have all this other stuff. I mean, there's a million reasons why. April, lucky enough, she was able to be a stay at home mom and take care of the kids, and so, I left there and I got on my phone and I called April, and I just got my cell phone, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to take this. And she's like, it's crazy, but if you think so, okay. So I did. I left there, and we were opening our second restaurant at the Eastwood Mall, Fatty's, and we were doing all these shows, blah, blah, blah. This was 5 months later, and my benefits ran out in 6 months. My pay ran out in 6 months, and we would have been fine, but it was still very nerve-wracking that, I was used to having a steady paycheck while I was out taking all these risks and doing this stuff, and I wasn't going to have it. And I got a phone call, and that phone call was from Mayor Jay Williams at the time, and he said, I need to talk to you. I don't know this dude from Adam. I'd done 2 or 3 shows at the Chevy Center at the time, and so, okay, bang. And so I go talk to him, and he's like, we want you to come in and run this place. Wow, they had another management company. It's well documented. They're losing $1.2 million a year operating a place.
Wow.
It's like, we want you to come in there and run it. And so I said, thought about it. I'm like, Mayor, this is not really what I do. I'm a promoter. I'm not a building manager, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, we need you. We're going to go out and search for a major management company. So we negotiated a deal. I kind of felt obligated to do it more than anything, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll have a little bit of time. I was used to burning the candle both ends. I'll go do this, and so that's how we came up with JAC, because I had to do it. I had to I had to develop this company, and I didn't have a name for it, and I didn't want to use Eric Ryan Productions because that was our promoting company. So JAC was named after my kids, Jordan, Ashley, Carson.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we go in there. and basically assume all the employees and all the responsibility. We went from no employees, like I felt, into 450 employees. Got so many employees, between part-time employees and all that stuff. And we start managing it, and the rest is kind of history from that standpoint. We went in there and turned it around pretty quick, and we're and then we were about 2-3 weeks in, and I kind of knew that, man, I love to do this, and so. That's kind of where, I don't know how I got on that thing, but that's kind of where we got how things got started to, make us move over, on to the next level, But, not all of the shows are a JAC live show. Mm-hmm. So JAC Management Group's the management group that runs it, okay? And you got to remember that every show that happens, there has to be a promoter under the Covelli Center deal, under the City of Youngstown deal. There has to be a promoter because somebody has to take the risk. So
there's multiple levels of risk.
Yeah. So, I can't think I'm going to do Jim Fogarty and Friends and pay them $200,000 and they're going to come in and I'm going to sell 3,000 tickets to break even, and I sell 2,000 and all of a sudden you're losing $50,000. You can't take that risk with taxpayers' money. Right. So that's kind of where, that's where either JAC Live or other promoters come in and do shows. But that's kind of where the jump happened for us when kind of just all on a crazy phone call from the mayor.
If I remember correctly, in the newspaper, what was like 3 or 4 years, they were losing millions every year.
Right.
And I guess it's like the perfect example of the opposite of, if you build it, they will come.
Right.
Because there was no one going there.
Right.
But wasn't there something about, like, once you got the job, weren't they only going to like invest into it for like a couple more years of losing money and then just shut it down or figure something out? But because they were losing a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, you think the city's budget, I think, is $70 million. I'm not sure, $70 million, and they're losing $1.5 million on an arena that nobody's going to, or $1.2 million. So, it was very clear that we needed to get it to make money.
Did they give you like 2 years?
Well, actually, no. They give us 4 months because they were.
Wow.
They went through a whole process of bringing in all this dog and pony shows of all these other management companies. But we quickly started to turn it around. They could see the financials were getting better by going in there, making the right decisions, booking the right shows, managing it. There was some management things that needed to change. But at the end of the day, this business is about putting butts in the seats, and that's what you have to do. And fortunately, I think we know the market,
country sells.
Teams and country sells. Which, by the way, I'll tell people this. When we took over the arena, the biggest criticism was they never had country. Never. They had no country shows. And guess what? I hated country.
Right.
It had nothing to do with, but we were able to. Our first country show was Carrie Underwood.
Carrie Underwood's, yep.
And it blew out. And so
sold out quick too, right?
Yeah, it sold out in like whatever it was, an hour. So country's been huge for us.
Well, that's a great your talents, among others, assessing risk and reward. But your talents are really picking some amazing shows and putting that risk, the money up for these shows. And I want to read off some of these shows that have come now prior to. Right, and Brandon just mentioned, and this was the same thing because I want to get into the Packard Music Hall and Warren too. But prior to, we were talking about this renaissance and this revitalization of Youngstown, and cities do it all over the world, but all over the country especially. And major metros a lot of times underwrite, for lack of better terms, these type of facilities to stimulate economic development, which is what the Chevy Center was originally doing.
Right.
But they weren't bringing enough people in to then spill out into the O'Donnells and the Vernons and the Robertos, and all these places. So what's amazing to me is that you were able to pick some great shows, take great risk, and because of that, spurred economic development within the city. Now, if you look at Youngstown 10 years ago, how long have you been managing the Covelli Center?
Since 2007,
so 12 years.
12 years, yeah.
So 10 years ago, there was no hotel. There wasn't, it was coming, but it wasn't quite. And now you have some amazing shows. And so listen to this list if you're outside the area. Some of these were at the Covelli, some of them were not. But the fact that you got Zach Brown, Elton John, Florida Georgia Line, Alice Cooper, Kid Rock, Wiz Khalifa, Motley Crue, and coming up in June, Lionel Richie, Oh, what a feeling. Oh, you want to sing it too?
Not long,
oh, yeah, right.
all night.
I mean, so that's an amazing talent to be able to say, hey, we've got X amount of dollars, and I have a limited, I have a better than a limited understanding of this. It was when I was at the music hall on the board, we started a foundation because you can't risk taxpayers' money to bring shows in. So we started this foundation, this nonprofit, and raised money to have these shows. And one of the people we looked at was Smokey Robinson. This dude's rider was, you had to bring in a what's the piano? The grand. Yeah. He had to have a Steinway. He had to have all these different things. You had to bring these things, and he wanted like $50,000. That's before you do marketing. That's before you do anything. Mm-hmm. And I think we were working with like $60,000 at the time. It was our whole wad, and everyone was like, "Oh, how come you guys do it?" Man, there's a huge risk there, and there's a huge risk. Are you going to sell 2,200 seats out at a particular price point? But you've been able to do it time and time again. And so that risk of bringing in shows to kind of put butts in the seats is a incredible talent. And I love this story too, and I know Brandon does as well. Eric is not, this is what I love about the thing. Struthers kid,
Wildcat.
Struthers kid, working at the mill, high school educated. It's not like you went to like marketing, you don't have a marketing degree or a business, just by sheer determination and tenacity. Like, man, if that ain't a success story, I don't know what is. And so, for people that are listening out there that have a dream, this is a guy that was in the mill making good money, but saw bigger, and fortunately has got a great wife and a great amount of people supporting him and surrounding him saying, okay, man, we're going to ride or die with you. We may lose it all, but you didn't. You have taken some risk, and not all the shows have been sellouts. How's that? I mean, how does that work out when you think it's going to work out big and it falls flat, and then how do you recover from that? Because you're only as good as your last show, right? This is all reputation management for a lot of your stuff. That's why you're taking the pictures and sending it to the trades. Right. Hey, we got this sold out. Then you get the next promoter and go, hey, we brought so-and-so in, we sold it out. When it doesn't go your way, how do you spin that?
Well, I think, nobody, successes comes from your failures. And in a lot of way in this industry, I've had way more shows that we have swung and missed than I'd like. And that's just the way it goes. And, at the end of the day, from the pure concert promotion standpoint, it's like going to Vegas. And people just do not understand that. There's some people out there locally who may think, well, you don't do this kind of show or you don't do that kind of genre. Like, why? Well, first of all, to be clear, and anybody out there that's in the entertainment city, we're open for business. You want to come in and rent the Packer Music Hall? Come. If you want to come in and rent, the Cavelli Center, please come. We're doing, this year we'll do about 20 out-of-market shows, and we're going to continue to grow that, from a concert promotion standpoint. From a building management standpoint, we love nothing more than either collect rent or go into it with a promoter that might want to do something. Like, that's what we do. But at the end of the day, there's just a tremendous amount of risk. Like you said, if you take the average show and you say that, at Packard Music Hall, I'm going to pay so-and-so $50,000 and I'm going to, and I have another 30,000 expenses. You have 80,000 going out, divide 2,200 tickets by that. Okay. Yeah. What am I don't get any parking revenue. We might get a little bit of the facility fee. And then, if each person come in and spends $10, what's my net on that? $4 a person, so you have to kind of put all that stuff together and really what's your risk and your reward. And there's been a lot of shows that should have did better than they may have. The problem with that is that, and you need people to understand, success in this industry fuels more content. So, if I do a show that's a certain genre, okay, and either we overpay the artist, maybe we put the ticket prices too much, and blah, blah, blah. And they come and they play in front of a half-empty house. That resonates. That's history. And, I always talk about history. And the first thing that an agent tells me, you have the artist you have their manager, you have the agent, and then you have the promoter in that order. Okay. And, the promoter is trying to get the show from the agent. The agent has to keep the manager happy because the manager has to answer to the artist. And, there's been times, where you come and you play in front of a half empty house. You wonder why people give away tickets. Like I've always, and it's hurt me at times, but I just say, listen, we don't make a living off comp tickets. But, everybody's heard of that show that wasn't doing very good, and there was comp tickets out on the street and just to get people in there because the artists don't want to play in front of a half-empty house.
Right.
And it hurts your reputation to get the next show.
It hurts your reputation to get the next show. So, like, if you want to see a certain genre, come wherever you're at in the country, come to, your local venue, then go support it.
Oh, yeah.
Go buy a ticket and go support it. Because if you don't, that hurts that venue or that market in like shows. And, it's just a fact. You can't have failures and think that you're just going to go away. You have to, you really have to deal with those failures for a long time. Well, you're going to do an R&B show. How did it do? Or you're going to do a country show. How did it do? What's your country history? What's your rap history? What's your rock and roll history? And the reason why, you see a lot of heritage rock now or classic rock or you see a lot of country shows because the success rate on those shows are so big. Agents are sitting back there and there's markets everywhere. We're the 130th media market in the country now. And then a lot of people consider our market a tertiary market. We used to be a secondary. Now we're a tertiary market. Now, I tell agents all the time, well, you may call us a tertiary market, but really, we sell tickets like an A market,
Mm-hmm.
And we do. And we're fortunate that people choose to support a lot of the things we do. But unfortunately, you do have those failures, and those failures hurt you for a long time. And at the end of the day, I wish I decided who all was coming. I wish I decided. All I can do is put offers out there. And oh yeah, by the way, we probably get 10% of the shows that we bid. We don't get 90% of the shows that we bid.
Right.
For one reason or the other. And Cleveland and Pittsburgh being two major markets, top 30 markets in the country, we are halfway between both of them. 70 miles and 90 miles is not a good thing.
Right.
There's never been an artist that plays all three, ever. In my entire history, ever. Been an artist that had played all three, and people think that. As a matter of fact, we go against them. If they play Youngstown, they probably don't play Cleveland or Pittsburgh on that tour, or at least on that leg of the tour. Look it up. It's just a fact. So we have to, and then we're going against the largest promoting companies in the world with Live Nation and AEG, and they're trying to feed their venues or the big cities because they know people from Youngstown and Warren and Mahoning and Trumbull County.
They'll travel.
And Columbia, they know they'll travel.
Yeah, right.
So these are things that I think some of those things are misconceptions that we just sit back there and we get every show we want and we blah blah blah. I wish and especially in the theater world, at Packard, it's difficult to get those shows because we're going against Hard Rock, and we're going against Akron Civic Theater, and we're going against Stambaugh, and we're going against Powers Auditorium, and think about it. Think about how many venues are within 100 miles of this place. It's incredible. So, we're competing against them every day, in a sense, in that theater world. So,
wanted to speak back in 2007. There, you don't have to speak of the name. I actually forget his name, but there was another promoter that used to do, what was it called? The Wedge. Mm-hmm. And he would have shows come in. And what you just talked about, the Cleveland, Youngstown, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It would be like, you would have those two shows, and then this guy would grab them in Youngstown, give like 10 days worth of promotion. And I went to so many shows.
Yeah.
I went and saw Deftones in front of 50 people. I went and saw all these artists in front of 50 people. It never worked. It was awesome on my side. I got to shake hands with these guys. But yeah, that's incredible. Like it's nice that you're fighting against and making sure that Youngstown is not just somebody you just running through.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the whole region too. And I think what's awesome is that you're bringing people from outside of the market into market. Once they're done with the show, then they spill out into the bars, into the restaurants, they stay in the hotels. And so we used to argue with people all the time when I was on the board at the music hall and they wanted to, well, we're going to shut the hall down. Like, first off, you don't sell your long-term assets for a short-term gain. But you've got to be able to see the potential that those type of facilities bring in economic development dollars. Because now you got more restaurants, you got more bars, you got better hotels, you got et cetera, et cetera. So you competing against those big markets has actually put Youngstown, Warren, and the greater, this Mahoning Valley on the map a little bit more so than we had been 10 or 15 years ago. I want to talk about the music hall in a second, but you had mentioned about the managers and the agents and, having a little bit of... So for people that don't understand, like the rider is the sheet, like a one sheet that comes in, and you'll be able to explain it better, but basically says, here's what the artists want or they need on this particular show. We want this soundboard, we want this, yada, yada, yada. And there's those horror stories about someone, I always hear, like, I think they talked about it on a ratio, the green M&Ms. I want green M&Ms in the dressing room. So I hate all that shit because we're all about positivity here. Who's been some of the awesome artists to work with who are like just the down-to-earthers, man? Like, that dude is just like an awesome dude.
Yeah.
Or girl.
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, we've had so many of them. It's really incredible. Actually, the first time we had Lionel Richie was really cool, really good guy. Most country artists are really good. They're great. But one that really pops to my mind is Brad Paisley. Brad Paisley was really cool. It was about 4:30. We had a sold out show in the afternoon, and his manager comes up to me and is like, "Hey, Brad doesn't drink, but he owns this bar. I mean, he has this bar at his house. It's like this amazing like Irish pub, and he's really into like bourbons. And he'd like to, is there a local liquor store? He likes to go look around and buy like a bourbon and take it home, like I'm just saying, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, I'm like, "You want me to get the runner or what do you?" And he's like, "Nah." He's like, "You mind taking us?" Because like, he just kind of wants to keep low key. Don't want anybody to know he's coming, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, yeah, no problem. So it was about 5:30. And so, I swing around, pick him up. He jumps in the passenger side and he's like, "What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for the show. I know you're the promoter."
Did he have his cowboy hat on?
No. He had a baseball cap on, really. And so we end up going and I take him to a local establishment, to buy a bottle of liquor, and we ended up buying him a really, really awesome bottle. And he was like, I bought it for him, and he was like just flabbergasted. He's like, "Absolutely not." And I'm like, "Dude, we're gonna do 6,300 people in the arena tonight. Like, this is, on behalf of us, just enjoy it," and blah blah blah. So he was like really, really cool, and people started noticing him in the room, and obviously took pictures with him, whatever. So we get back in the car and we're coming back down Market Street, and he's like, "Anywhere to smoke a cigar around here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually, right there on the left on 224 here. We'll go down." And we went to what is that? The cigar place. It's Cordy's? No, not Cordy. Cordy's is here. What's the?
Is it Havana House?
Havana House, yeah. And we went in there and lit up a cigar and just chilled for a while. And it's like, now it's like 8:00 and like he's going on at like 9. I'm like, "Oh, this is," it's like, dude, we gotta kind of go. But really, really good guy. And then the next tour he had sold the whole tour off to a major promoting company. And I had put a show in Michigan to do it. And there was only 2 shows on the 36-day tour that were independently promoted, which that's what they kind of call me or JAC Live as, an independent promoter. And he freaking give us the show.
That's awesome.
You know what
awesome.
I mean?
Yeah.
He carved out a date for me and then somebody else. And just a real down to earth dude, it was really, really cool.
Well, you're a great host. I've been to a couple of the shows, and we've,
Yeah.
Great host. It's funny about that show. I'm not a country guy. My wife loves country, and said, "Oh, come up to the show." Okay, cool, check it out. and I was fucking blown away. I don't know this dude's music other than like maybe hearing it as my wife, runs through the country stations and I'm trying to get it off because I want to listen to Zeppelin.
Right.
Right.
But this dude comes out. You had that like center stage thing where he came out, and that dude ripped it on guitar, man. I was like impressed. I was like, holy shit, this dude's a player, man.
There's just something about country music. Like I don't like it either, but my favorite show was a country. Going up to like Jacobs Field to go see, I think Florida Georgia Line and another guy, but it's powerful.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like
Keith Urban, both Keith Urban and Brad Paisley are fucking unbelievable guitarists.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely. I mean, these guys could play with anybody and on stage with anybody in the world. Those guys are world-class guitarist. Keith Urban too. I mean, if you ever see Keith Urban rip it, man, it's just like, wow. These dudes are really, really good. Could play any genre and kill it.
Keith Urban's got a hot wife too.
Yeah.
Did she come? Did she? She probably doesn't.
She didn't come.
Probably making a movie or something.
Yeah. He's a really good guy too.
He seems like it. He's an Aussie, right? He's an Australian cat?
Yeah, he is too, and he lets us promote the shows. There's not a lot of that anymore. Before, you'd have history in the market. So if you did a show, you'd have history. And I don't want to name artists, but there's lots of them that don't do that anymore. It's like, who's going to give me the most money?
Yeah.
Does country cost?
Well, less than other genres.
Really?
Yeah, it does, because there's so much of it, and there's such a groundswell of it.
I would
there's
think
so
the
many
opposite.
lower level that are just killing it too. And they kind of keep the cost down. Now, I mean, there's certainly some country artists that are a lot, but if you took that same artist and was in pop, forget about it, it'd be double the amount of money. I mean, we did Florida Georgia Line last year, and 20,000 people at YSU Stadium, which was absolutely
awesome
amazing.
Step in this area.
If you took them same one, then they were something in pop or whatever, it would just be
astronomical.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And even heritage artists, the expense of those are going up astronomically, So, yeah, I mean, there's certainly some that are really expensive, but for the most part, they are affordable.
I would not think that.
You take the success of the Covelli Center and all these shows, and in 2015,
yes,
Eric goes in and gets a contract at the W. Packard Music Hall in Warren, Ohio, Dub City. Shout out. And we're already hearing Dub City, but I'm shouting out for everybody else that's listening. And here's what was awesome. This was so, because I had seen the County Crows when they were at Blossom, and I had seen some of these other acts in other places, and here we are, literally not even a 10-minute drive from my house, and he gets Counting Crows. He gets Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh fucking ripped it.
Yeah.
For an older, I was like, holy
awesome.
Shit.
Two shows.
Two shows, that's right. They had a second one.
Yeah.
Blondie. And then coming up, let's talk about this because I'm super pumped, and I'll tell you why I'm super pumped. I call my grandma. Did I tell you the story?
No.
I call my So we've recently, again, I was on the board at the music hall. I'm on the foundation, and we recently helped pair public and private money to put an elevator in the music hall,
which is awesome
for my 95-year-old. It was total selfish purposes, and it was really, and say what you want to say, politically or publicly or privately. The Roger Ailes Foundation, they really came up big, and so did our local state rep Mike O'Brien, who came up with some money from the Ohio Cultural Facilities Commission, and we were able to team this up and put this elevator in. So my grandmother's 95 years old. She's a lifetime Warren resident. She hasn't been to the top of the balcony at the music hall for probably 15 or 20 years. Okay, she's 95. She walks with a walker. She's an ass kicker though. She cooks
that's amazing.
Dinner on Sunday. So I'm talking. I was actually at a funeral, and I ran into Jim Bugos, who manages the hall, the Packard Music Hall for JC, and he goes, "Hey," I said, "What's going on, man? We haven't had like really kick-ass shows." He goes, "I'll keep this on the down low Monday or Friday." I don't remember when he announced. Whenever it was, I think it was Monday, and the tickets went on sale Friday. He goes, "Hey, we're having Tony Bennett." I go, "Get the fuck." He goes, "I'm serious." I go, "Holy shit, man." I go, "Okay, cool." I know what I'm doing. I call my grandmother up, 95 years ago. Hey, and she's seen everyone. My grandfather was from Brooklyn. They lived in New York for a while. I mean, she saw everybody. I says, hey, you ever seen Tony Bennett? And she, play? She goes, well, no, I haven't. I go, do you want to? And she starts right away. Well, I mean, I don't. How far do we have to travel? She's thinking it's Cleveland or Pittsburgh. And I go, don't worry about that. I go, if you had the opportunity to see Tony Bennett, would you want to go? Well, how much are the tickets? I said, if you didn't have to worry, don't worry about the price. Don't worry about how you travel. Would you go see Tony Bennett? Were you interested in going to see Tony Bennett? She goes, well, yeah, I would love to see Tony Bennett. I never saw Tony Bennett. And I go, we're going for Mother's Day. I'm getting us tickets. You and I are going to go see Tony Bennett. We're going to go sit in the balcony at the Packard Music Hall. She goes, Tony Bennett's coming to Warren? I said, yes, he is. And so that's just one sampling, but that's a story that's probably had all across the region where people are literally able to drive down the road or get an Uber or whatever they're doing and go see a great act at a decent cost. I mean, this is not... I told somebody how much and I'm not going to say how much I paid for the tickets because my family's listening. They'll be like, what the they're a little old school. But I wanted to sit up, close and make it something special for my grandmother. I'm taking my mom and stepdad too. But it's affordable as hell, especially when you don't have to worry about you're driving out of town. And
Right.
Where can you see these people? In a 2,200 capacity theater, which I think is amazing that you're getting these type of shows to come in and they're playing in an intimate, I can't even say arena, in an intimate theater setting. Mm-hmm. What is that process different from, first of all, congratulations to that show, but what is that process different from trying to sell 6,000 seats versus 2,200? The math is a little different, and how does that work,
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you're really talking about, it's completely different at the end of the day. As it relates to Packard Music Hall, you have 2,200 seats. So when you start to do the math and you start to figure out, ticket prices and for what kind of show, I mean, Tony Bennett is the most expensive ticket prices we've ever had. And
sold out?
No, but it's close.
Close, yeah.
It's selling well. It was really
what's the date?
May 12th, I believe. Is it May 12th?
Yeah, I think it is May 12th.
I got so many dates.
Get in there, people. You got some time left. Get in for Tony Bennett.
I mean, and then that's the thing, though. If you come and support it, and I'm actually partnering with Live Nation on that. So, we need it to do well. We need it to sell out. We need it to just kill it. And but at the end of the day, it's about what can you pay the artist and what can you get ticket prices for. I guess it's a lot the same as as the arena, but in that aspects, but just different stakes. And a lot of times in a theater, the ticket prices need to be more because you just don't have the amount of seats, obviously, to get to get enough gross out of it. So, but I think I'm proud of what we've done in Warren. I'm proud of what we've done because it's not easy. It's just not easy anywhere, and it's not. I wish we had more shows, but I will tell you this. We noticed that if we oversaturate Packard Music Hall, the less successful the shows are, quite honestly, from a business standpoint. And so, are we better off to do a ton of shows and make them all mediocre? Are we better off to try and do, 6 to 8 shows, try to do as many different genre shows as we possibly can? And again, that goes back to the success that they are. That we have with those particular shows, but and the competition is so fierce in the theater market, it just really, really is. So but at the end of the day, either a tour is on an arena tour or they're on a theater tour. Tony Bennett's not playing arenas on this tour; he's playing intimate theaters. And so the optics and the economics, I should say, are different for that than they would be for the arena. I don't, a lot of people go, well, how can you manage both? I mean, so many management companies manage multiple facilities within the same market. That's because they're really not. They're now I shouldn't run another theater in the market, but I'm running an arena. I'm now going to run an amphitheater, and we run a theater. So you could call us to do anything,
That's pretty cool.
And so we can if you're having a theater tour, we have a theater. If you're having an amphitheater tour, we have an amphitheater, and if you're having an arena tour, we have an arena, and
also YSU.
And,
so if you want to go outdoors,
stadium show. So I'm gonna ask you to call Dave Grohl for me because we
I don't have his number.
We put in multiple.
Don't forget about Mollenkopf Stadium.
We put in.
Hopefully, we can get something at Mollenkopf.
There you go.
But last time it was Boom Boom.
That's right. Yeah. No. But we've certainly. We don't make those decisions. But at the end of the day, he was on a theater tour. But we kept it away from Cleveland and Pittsburgh, which is amazing.
Which is amazing.
Which is awesome. I don't take it for granted for a minute, but it's difficult, dude. It's difficult,
and people don't realize that.
And people don't realize that. And I wish we controlled everything. We don't. We can't make them say yes. We cannot make them say yes.
Well, here's something you said yes to, because I want to give you. I don't want this to be like a big Eric's so awesome. Eric and I've been friends for a dozen years or so, and you're an awesome human being. Because I love. You're welcome. I love the grittiness in the story, and we share some. I don't want to say the. You actually shared it with me. I love this line. I'm not going to say it because it's kind of funny, but we talked about it before. Hold the light, okay? It's that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
But here's something you said yes to that I thought was awesome. Because it's not only just about you putting cash in your pocket and bringing, cash to these places. You're also giving back, and this is a part of you that I don't think a lot of people know, so I want to kind of shine a light on it because I think it's important for people to understand that when you have success, you need to be able to give back and try to make others successful as well. You're on the regional board, the regional chamber board of directors. Mm-hmm. You're on the Better Business Bureau. Mm-hmm. You were appointed or elected, I don't remember which, to the Ohio Arts Council, advocating for state capital funding for Trumbull-Mahoning counties. You don't need to do that. You're busy enough as it is, but you took the time to do those things, and because of that, you've shined a light back on this area to bring capital improvement dollars back. And I don't think you get enough credit for that. I know it's been in the newspaper and that kind of stuff, but because a lot of times, we sometimes people get jealous and sometimes people are like, oh, that dude's doing so well. And, the music hall, especially because I'm a local guy and I get it. And people are like, oh, he probably, I go, do you know how much it costs to bring in a Blondie or it costs to bring in a Joe Walsh, and how much beer and drinks and beverage food you have to sell? That's really the mainstay, right? You're splitting the ticket costs with the promoter, with the manager, with the artist, with the it gets divvied up a lot of different ways.
100%.
And you don't need to do these kind of things, but you're giving back. So I appreciate that just as a citizen, because I know that about you, and I think other people should know that too.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But it's funny though, I guess, and I'm a very positive person, but you do obviously some negativity things go with are just part of the that happen. But I just wish people were informed from the standpoint of for instance, the Packard Music Hall. As the Packard Music Hall was costing the city of Warren $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year to operate, right?
Yep.
So not unlike a lot of other places, not unlike a lot of other theaters. Actually, I think about last time I looked was last number I heard was 85% of theaters in the country lose money. I mean, think about that for a minute.
Right.
Just opening the doors, putting on the events, and closing the doors, they lose money. And we've been able to go in there. We went in there under a different agreement. The agreement is basically we're going to pay you X amount of dollars, and we're getting the hell out of your way, and we're not taking any more risk. Like the city of Youngstown is on the hook for the operations of the arena. I am not. We're just a management company. They pay us a fee. Boom. Right. In Warren, it's a little bit different story, and I was thinking about this on my way here because I wasn't sure what we were going to talk about, and I don't want to get in the weeds because I don't think most people care.
Right.
But if you owned a business and you owned multiple business, and one business you felt that you needed to continue to run, but you were losing money, You're losing $350, $400, sometimes $450,000, $500,000 a year. A lot of money, right? If you were a businessman. But you said, I need to keep this business running for whatever reason. And I came to you as another businessman. I said, here's the deal, dude. Give me a check for $250 and I'll run it. And I think I'll run it better than you run it. And you're out of it. And I'll sign on the dotted line. I'm going to continue to do the things that you're doing. And I'm going to add to it, and I'm going to add blah, 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 blah. But historically, you have never made money here. You have lost money every year. You blah, blah, blah. You would take it in a heartbeat if you said, I'm going to continue to run it.
Because you're assuming all the risk.
I'm assuming all the risk. So what was weird is under this agreement, I don't think people understand that. I don't think people understand that we have to continue to, in Warren, that's how the deal works. So we just signed a new contract. So think about this for a minute. The city lost an average of about $375,000 a year prior to us. So that means the city is now giving us a check for $250. We have to run at $125,000 a year better than the city to make $1. Think about this for a minute. To make $1, we have to run at $100,000 to $125,000 a year better. Okay. Now, the last time I looked, we still paying gas. We're still paying electric. We have employees. They have benefits. We still have to pay insurance. We still have to pay maintenance. We still have to do all these things in which we think we're doing a pretty darn good job of making it better.
Right.
And, under this agreement, all the risk is ours. If we go in there and we do a show and we're doing Tony Bennett and Tony Bennett don't work out and we sell 1,000 tickets, bro, we're losing $50,000.
Right.
That's just the way it works.
Right.
And so I don't want to get in the weeds on that, but I think it's important to understand that and during this negotiations, we went in front of city council and we're saying, hey, listen, we're willing to do whatever deal. If you want to do the deal like a Youngstown deal where you're going to take all the risk, you're going to pay us a management fee. Let's negotiate it, and we'll come in. We'll manage your funds. But the city of Warren really, at the end of the day, they decided that they just didn't want to be in that risk. They wanted, like you said, people wanted to shut the place down. They don't want to shut it. They don't want to shut it down. It's a huge asset and a value to the city as a whole. So, and that's just kind of in the weed stuff a little bit. But you do. When you go out and you hear negative stuff, it's like, come on, look at this holistically. You have to understand the agreement. You have to understand how this all came about.
Well, and if you look at it from a business owner's outside perspective, we're obviously business owners, but we don't have retail operations and we don't have food service operations. I bet if you asked, I don't even have to say I bet because I know this. When you talk to guys at the Speakeasy, when you talk to guys at newly open brewery Modern Methods, when you talk to people who own other restaurants in the area, we're getting a winery over here across the street.
Right.
There's a restaurant going in underneath us. When the shows come into the music hall, big name shows, business goes up because people spill out.
Right.
The city wasn't going to bring in Joe Walsh. The city they weren't bringing in Tony. So you're you're filling a need, and because of that need, the overflow. They did a study years ago. I don't want to get into the boring. Gets kind of boring, but they did a study years ago. The economic development per year at Packard Music Hall was estimated at $1.2 million outside.
Right.
This was pre-JAC. I'd love to see what that study is now over the last 4 years because you've brought in some great acts.
Right.
You filled and sold out those shows, and those people have to go and eat and drink and stay places afterwards. So
yeah,
that's killer stuff. Hey, real quick, because I know we want to wrap up. I know you've got places to be and things to go. I want to ask you one last question, but before we do, we've got some questions from the Prodders out in Prodcast universe. Brandon, what do we got from people?
We got one from Cynthia. She'd be interested in knowing what your biggest tip is for increasing social media, following a business in a way that reaches people outside of the business current market. Did that make sense? Should I repeat this one more time?
I mean,
I'm going to read it word for word.
There
Would
you
be
go.
interested in knowing what his biggest tip is for increasing social media following for a business in a way that reaches people outside of the business current market.
So how do you get outside? I think I'm going to translate. I think what she's asking is, how do you get people to follow JAC lot or Cavelli lot? Those Facebook. She's talking about social media, right?
Yeah.
These
Right.
Facebook pages or whatever outside of the market. What do you guys? How do you? What is your tips, if you have any, on employing social media postings and things of that to get other people to like that page and follow those pages?
Yeah, that's probably not a real good question for me. I appreciate the question, but I have a team and my social media team that goes out. I mean, that's hard for anybody to do.
Yeah.
Is to legitimately get followers or get followers that care and get, and I think trying to be as creative as you can, I think is probably number one. But I mean, I think she's asking how do you get followers outside of your business? So if you're a car wash business, how do you get followers that may not get the car washed? I don't know. I don't know. That's probably a better question for you.
I was going to say, well, here's my tip, which you guys actually employ this. We employ it too with some of the social media pages we manage for our clients. We give specific information. We release specific information or deals only on social media or on social media first. So that way someone wants to follow that page because they're getting the announcement that Tony Bennett's coming in.
Right,
Maybe that announcement comes out an hour or 2 hours or a day before the rest of it.
Right.
And maybe that's the best. Hey.
Yeah, give them a
I got-
little bonus.
I got one more.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
I got one more
Yeah.
from Brandon, that guy that spells it with a Z again. What do you
Which
say?
is him. This is this fucking guy.
What do you say to Lauren to make her giggle every time you say Market Street in Boardman?
Well, let me preface this to you for people that are outside of the area. Eric has been like a front man, on-camera talent for Sweeney spokesperson. Thank you, which is a local car dealership. And Lauren Lindvig was a former on-air talent. She has her own show now, but she was on WFMJ. So they do these commercials together, and Eric's tagline is,
on Market Street in Boardman.
and she always has like a giggle and a laugh.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's so genuine.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's my handsome fat face that does it.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, they say handsome fat faces sell cars. I said I'm your guy. That's how this whole thing rolled down. But it all started off kind of as a joke because just kind of an inside joke, and I don't know. But on Market Street in Boardman, just kind of. But when I first started doing that, when they asked me to do it, I kind of wasn't myself. And anybody that knows me, I'm sort of loud at times, and I like to have fun. I mean, life is good, right, for all of us.
Yeah.
So, like, come on, just enjoy it. And so, the first time that we had done a commercial together, and it was, her and I. And they would always have to tell me to quiet down. And I'm like, listen, I'm not going to do this because
That ain't me.
it's not me. So like, there's going to be something that I'm going to kind of come out. And somehow we ran into this thing, and it was the very last thing that said, because she says, stop by Sweeney Chevrolet Buick GMC. And the last line is always on Market Street in Boardman. And so the first time I'm like, on fucking Market Street in Boardman. And so we laughed, and sometimes we have stuff that don't quite hit the, to get cut on the, on the floor. But,
Those are the
so that's kind of how it started. And then, we just kind of joke about it the whole time. And so it's kind of fun.
Oh, it's a great time.
Yeah, and
they're memorable.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
Lauren's great. I mean, she's so professional. She's taught me so much on how. I mean, this isn't what I do for a living, but I enjoy representing them, and it doesn't take up a lot of time. We film once a month, and
Well, you did
it's
good
worked
at
out
it,
pretty
man.
good.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
thanks.
a good brand
Thanks.
ambassador.
I hope so.
What's next for JC? Can you give us any tidbits? I know you can't, for disclosure purposes, I know you can't disclose who you're making offers to, but is there anything you can say? Give us a tidbit. Give our prodders a tidbit of something that may or may not, or not. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, no, we're looking to do some things at Packard that I think are real exciting. I mean, I do want to thank you for all the time that you've put in, and amazing amount of time that I know. And, the one thing about Fogues, man, is you have the best interests of the city of Warren in your heart. And
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And that's really amazing. And I haven't never talked to anybody, not even haters out there that don't know that, because the way you do and the way you present yourself and the hard work that you do that really gives you no personal value is pretty amazing. So I want to say that, and I appreciate all your support over the years, certainly. And I think we have some exciting things. At Packard, we have the new sign going up.
Yeah.
It's going to be freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And the money was all raised privately. We had a private donor who give a lot of it, and then there's a lot of other business owners, including ourselves, that gave to it. That's going to be there forever, and it's going to be a huge digital sign. Anybody who knows the sign now, it certainly needed improved.
Big time, right?
And then the foundation, with really leading the charge as it relates to the elevator, and that's just an amazing project there. And we're looking to do some more things and some more private public kind of partnerships to continue to renovate the hall, to make it more 2020 than 1958,
right?
And while keeping the integrity, I think so. I'm really excited about that. I excited that we were able to get a 5-year agreement and continue to move the place forward, and so we're very excited about that. Of course, we have the amphitheater opening in Youngstown. That's going to be knock people's socks off. We started announcing some shows, as you see.
Yeah.
We just announced Earth, Wind, and Fire. We have Chicago, one night of music with Queen with the Youngstown Symphony Orchestra is pretty cool. And then opening day, the first opening show will be Michael Stanley, Donnie Iris, who are just legends in the area. And we have some other cool shows, a couple rock shows I think you guys will like, going to be coming up there. And the arena, we're just chugging along, just kind of keeping it going, as good as your last show in this industry. But from a company standpoint, we're really looking to start growing outside the market. I think we're kind of capped out here in the Youngstown Warren market and in the Mahoning Valley. And we're really wanting to start doing more shows and promoting more shows. At the end of the day, I'm a promoter, man. That's what I am. It pains me sometimes that we're not called Eric Ryan Productions. We're called JAC Live for branding purposes, amongst other reasons that I won't say on this podcast. But we're looking to expand and to the concert promotion side of things, and we have a plan, and we're going to do that. But again, you have to be careful. And I appreciate all the kind words, but and it's not like I'm the most successful businessman in the world. I still live in the house April and I bought when we were 21 years old. It's just a little bigger now, but full disclosure. But I love the Valley. I love where we're from. I'm proud of what we've done, and I think we're going to continue. I know we're going to continue to bring quality entertainment and operate these 2 fine facilities, and now going to be 3 fine facilities that we're so fortunate to be able to do. And I'm glad that people have recognized that us as a team. I appreciate that I get to come on shows like this and people get to hear my voice, but truly, dude, we have 25 full-time employees that are killer, and of those 25 employees, 18 of them have been with me for 12 years. So
that's awesome.
It's amazing. We haven't had a lot of turnover, and we have people who get it and understand. And I say this, like, what fuels me, like, every day is the fact that we get to give people a release from their everyday. Like, when you tell a story about your grandma, that's amazing to me. And if we weren't doing it, somebody else would, but we are. And we have the opportunity to give people memories, which is so freaking cool, man. And I tell people who work with us, that's on our team. I said, if you come in here in any one of our venue and you can't find something that makes you really happy or to smile about, especially on event day. I'm not talking non-event day. We have stresses, we have problems. But on event day, then you're probably in the wrong business. I'll help you find another job because I know when I walk into any show we do, there's a sense of pride that says, hey, man, that dude right there works freaking 7:30 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night doing whatever. I don't if it's digging ditches, if it's laying pipe in the ground, if it's doing whatever, if it's a server, I don't give a shit what you do. But if you get to come and you choose to spend your time at one of our venues and watch a show that we're helping produce and kind of forget about your daily life and worries, it's pretty cool shit.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I mean, that's where we're going to go, man. We're going to continue to do that.
Can I add in one more? Do we have time for one more quick one here?
Go ahead. What am I going to say? Fucking no now?
Are shows still special to you? Meaning, like you're talking about, like how Jim has this moment coming up. Person goes to 3 or 4 shows a year, and those are just special moments. Do you still, you're putting on these shows all the time. Do you still get that giddy?
That's a really good question.
The juice.
Because you should ask my wife that. That's a really good question. We actually that's come up recently. That look, and I said all those things, but it's a business to me, and I'm not drinking. I'm not enjoying the show. I enjoy watching other people, and yes, that's the satisfaction that I have from a business standpoint. But I have found myself in the last 2-3 years not going to other shows, and I always did. And I'm like, I need to get back to that. I mean, I need to get back to going other places and just freaking, have nothing to do with the show and just enjoy myself. I love Zach Brown. I think Zach Brown kills it. I didn't get to go to see Tommy Castro the other day. I would have loved to have gone and see that. I love freaking rock, like I should have went and saw a Shinedown show somewhere else because I really didn't enjoy Shinedown, the way and the way that I the one thing is that we had a I Love the 90s show. And it was just this, if it was like Vanilla Ice and all these, if you remember that, and like Tone Loc, and it was just, and I had a bunch of friends from high school. Like I'm very fortunate. I don't know how you guys are, but I mean, I have 8 friends from high school I still keep in touch with once a month, and so they all come in, and I'm like, listen, I tell everybody I'm gonna go and I'm enjoying myself. I'm not gonna do a damn thing. I'm just gonna come. I'm gonna put a hat on, and I'm not gonna blah blah blah. And I did, and it was my show. I paid for the show. I sat in the front row with my wife, and like for the first time ever. Actually, I had my friend sit in the front row because I sat in the second because I don't want people to say, oh, why is he sitting in the front row? And of course, there was negative bullshit out there, like, and so it was like the one time that I actually went. I used to enjoy myself at the Cellar all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Get lit up and just enjoy myself. But I really can't do that in a venue. So the answer to your question, I mean, all the things I said are so true. And personally, I love to see other people having a good time. But damn it, I need to get back to having a good time and to be going out and go and enjoy shows. Like I used to. And so we're going to start doing that. Me and my wife had this conversation, like, you know what? We're going to get on the road and we're going to go some places and start enjoying shows the way that we used to.
You probably just want to go to a show and just say, I hope no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you just don't want to have the responsibility and just go there and just be that dude that might drink a few more beers than normal.
Yeah. And because no matter what happens, there's always that risk, I mean, we had an artist kicking soccer balls, clock somebody in the head. Next thing you know, they're, wanting to sue us. I'm like, what do you, I couldn't tell them, what do you want me to do? But, but there's just, the amount of lawsuits and bull crap that happens sometimes are just insane. But that's the business side. But, dude, we got to go to a show. You know what I mean?
I'm in,
The three of us. Let's find something.
I'm in, man.
Yeah.
I like to bust Brandon's balls, but that is a great question because after a time, it's probably like the first time you had your website or not your website, but you built a website for somebody. You've built several of them now. The first time you did like a stadium entertainment.
Right.
Now you've done several of them now. The first time, a couple times you get a commercial done or you win a campaign or whatever, you lose the juice a little bit and you kind of forget about
better.
it.
Your other people's experiences hopefully are getting better, but your own personal
your own enjoyment. Well, you're the juice. I think what's great about you, Eric, is like you're saying, like the juice for you is watching other people enjoy something that you've put on, but you don't get to enjoy it as much because maybe you're saying like the responsibility aspect of it, whatever. It's kind of the same thing. Like
probably getting tapped on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Hey, we got this up front, dude. I can't even see this dude for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
We were at a rally this weekend, and we'll wrap it up here. But we were at this rally this weekend. Tim Ryan announces he's running for president. Boom. Okay, and people are like, "Hey, man, how is this?" And I'm there as as you are, a friend, a supporter, blah blah. But I'm there and I'm shooting video, and people are asking me afterwards, "Well, how was it?" I go, "I don't even know." Because I don't get to enjoy the crowd and I'm focused solely on getting the shot, framing the shot, making sure the sound's good.
Right.
So people are like, "How was it?" Fuck, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how it was because I'm making sure that he's framed in there and all that stuff. So yeah, let's go see a show. Something about I don't remember what it was. I was at a marketing seminar, and they had said, the one common thread of people that do whatever they do, but the one common thread of people who create content, and you're creating content by producing shows, you're creating content by doing websites, I'm creating content, is the consumer aspect. Like, you are consuming content, and once you get away from that, things start to change a little bit. And so, let's get back to the Eric Ryan drinking some beers. Hey, real quick, if somebody out there in podcast land is interested in getting a hold of you, they want to book the Cavelli, they want to book the W. Packer Music Hall, they want to book the amphitheater, they want to do outside promotions in one of the facilities you manage, how do they get a hold of you? What do they do?
Just email me, eryan@jacmg.com. eryan@jacmg.com.
We ran a little bit over. Thank you for spending some extra time with us.
This was awesome, man. This was awesome.
Dude, we had a great time. Eric, I appreciate you coming. Keep on rocking in the free world, as they say, and let me know if we can help out in any way, shape, or form, and get the word out on whatever that next show is at the music hall. Because I like to keep it local.
That's what I'm saying.
And hopefully it's going to be a bomb ass announcement. Hey, we hope you loved this last show. Eric is truly a salt of the earth type guy. His story is great. It should be inspiring because he started off in Wheatland Tube like he talked about, and now he's one of the premier concert promoters in Northeast Ohio, and he's done a fantastic job. I can't wait to go see Tony Bennett coming up. I'm going to go there with my grandmother. We may stop at one of our sponsors beforehand and get ourselves a cup of coffee because we make a mean cup of coffee up here along with drinking Axio. Thank you to our sponsor, Two Ticks and the Dog Productions, which is us, TV, radio, digital display, on-screen cinema advertising. We do it all. We hope you'll give us a shot. We can help your business grow and reach critical mass in terms of top-of-mind awareness. And if you're looking for a website, as always, mdistudios.com. My main man behind the microphone, co-host Brandon Giovanni, he put some great, affordable websites together for your business, for your nonprofit, for whatever you need. Thank you for joining us again today, Brandon, and thank you all for listening. This is our 10th episode. Our goal was to get to 10 to see how we were. We hope you enjoy it. We hope you keep listening. We hope you will share our page on social media. We are the Prodcast on Facebook, Prodcast, the Prodcast, and check out theprodcast.net if you want to check out our website and some of Brandon's work. And please, 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 please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Share it with your friends. We hope you find an episode that you love or several of them. We've got some amazing guests coming up. We're kind of keeping it a secret on who we'll have. You may be able to guess. We've talked about some of these guests in the past. You may know our history with some of our clients. We'd like to promote the people that we come in contact with because they have great stories. And so stay tuned. We are going to keep bringing some Prodcast material at you and prodding our guests into telling you their amazing, informational, inspirational stories Until then, stay electrified. Visit theprodcast.net. And please, again, share our page and please subscribe on your favorite podcast app to The Prodcast. Until then, peace and keep on prodding. Take care.